B'midbar. When you try to translate it to English, it means in the wilderness or in the desert. However, its English name is the Book of Numbers. In the desert, in the wilderness. B'midbar, God spoke to Moses and told him to count the number of Israelites that could serve in the army. Numbers. Now, the connection between these two words, between the wilderness and the numbers, seems to be particularly significant today. Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, tells us that God created the universe by three derivatives. Sefer, Sefor, Sipur. Sefer, Sefor, Sipur. Sefer meaning book, writing. Sefor meaning counting, numbers. And Sipur meaning speech, but also narrative and experience. Now I want to connect between these last two. Sefor, numbers, which is the English name of the book we are reading, and Sipur, the narrative, the testimony of the human experience that numbers cannot articulate. Numbers, 4. 4 days, 1,000. 1,000 rockets. 90 is the percentage of them intercepted by the Iron Dome. 10, the 10%, 100, falling into populated areas. Sipur, narrative. How do you count the loss of life? How do you narrate the fear, the uncertainty? The reality of the 20 years of a population living in the south of Israel, an entire generation growing up under missiles. How many rockets do you count when trying to explain the trauma? For how many days that trauma will last? Numbers, 5. 5 are the years that Ido Avigal got to live until a shrapnel, fragment of a bomb, penetrated the shelter where his parents were trying to keep him safe. 5 years. How do you quantify Ido's interrupted life? Wilderness. Midbar, the incomprehensible reality that these parents will need to deal with for the rest of their lives. Wilderness. The broken hearts of an entire nation. There are so many numbers and so much wilderness. 73. 73 are the years of the state of Israel. 73 are the years that our existence as a Jewish state has been threatened. Hard to tell and even harder to grasp. 2000. 2000 are the years that we were in the exile. We can count those years, but we cannot count the dreams, the prayers, the tears, and the blood of Jews that for 2,000 years didn't have a national home. Numbers. As many of you know, this time we are dealing with an additional challenge. Marginal groups in the Israeli Arab society as well, in the Israeli Jewish society, are vandalizing cities, attacking people. The Israeli police reported that at some given time they were dealing with 60 of these criminal events in parallel over the entire country. I am sure that we will gather the data, and at some point we will have the exact number, but we won't have the same precision when we try to deal with the wilderness. We won't be able to quantify the nature of a broken relationship, the pain, the fear, the uncertainty, the lack of trust. For all those, we won't have numbers. We will just have infinite wilderness. Hopefully, without forgetting the vision of a promised land. When speaking about this vandalism, one major topic of discussion has been symmetry. There is no symmetry between the quantity of attacks performed by Israeli Arabs and Israeli Jews. The number of Israeli Arab attacks absolutely overpasses the quantity of attacks performed by Jews. However, although there is no numerical symmetry, the real challenge is the narrative and not the numbers. When we see fellow Jews speaking Hebrew, wearing kippot, reading the same Torah we read, and attacking Israeli Arabs, we don't think about symmetry. We don't find comfort in the fact that they are just a small group, and they are. We can't compare the numbers because we are full of embarrassment and shame for their behavior. And then, another siren, another rocket, more and more numbers. And we count. We keep counting. We try to hold on to these numbers, but the reality is that they don't help much. We are in the uncertainty of the wilderness. And still, two last numbers for today. 48. Tonight, we count the 48th day in the counting of the Omer, which is by definition the walk of uncertainty. The walk of uncertainty toward receiving the Torah. However, Sinai is not the end of the wilderness, but rather the GPS that will help us navigate our journey throughout what feels like an endless midbar, an endless wilderness. One promised land, a land of milk and honey, a land of prosperity and shalom. Even in the most difficult days, we don't give up on that vision. And once again, one. Echad. Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad. One. One is our God. And one is its name. Adonai, El Shaddai, El Rahum, Allah, Yah. One. One is the source of all being, and that alone we do acknowledge. Shabbat Shalom.